Hey everybody, it's Hunger again, and today I wanted to do a bit of a different type of Pokémon Masters video. So this is going to be, in all likelihood, the last video I ever do on Pokémon Masters, unless there's some sort of major changes to the game down the road, and I cover that. This is probably going to be it. My Pokémon Masters content has not been getting a ton of views. I know that a couple of you have watched a couple of episodes, and usually not for very long. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has watched my Pokémon Masters content. And like I said, this video is going to be more just explaining what I feel is wrong with the game and how Dina could fix it. Because Dina does seem to be looking for input on how to fix the game, and my setup is really glitching out. I apologize about that. But anyway, without further ado, I'll sort of get into what I feel are some of the main problems with the game. Alright, so I figured I'd start off by talking about one of the biggest issues that I feel is wrong with the game, and that is evolution. Not every Pokemon in the game has an evolution.
Bring it on!
Currently, but it seems like they have decided to work on fixing this because they just recently, in one of the more recent updates, put out a patch that allows Brendan and Price's Pokemon to evolve, and they apparently did not have evolutions in the game previously. Why Brendan was even released without evolutions, I have no idea. But they are apparently at least working on that. So
it's my turn.
That is a big buff.
You got this.
Go.
Anyway,
teach them a lesson.
Leave it to me.
So that's kind of. I feel like every Pokemon that can evolve in the game should be able to evolve. I feel like that should be a thing, you know. And the fact that
Pokemon gave it their best.
The fact that they released this game without having all that programmed in ahead of time just boggles the mind, you know. I really don't understand why they thought that was okay.
Huh?
You know.
Right on.
But again, it looks like they're working to correct the problem. I wish they would stop coming out with new sync pairs until they fix the problem, or that any new sync pairs they come out with would already be fully evolved until they get this completely fixed. Because
see you later.
It just seems like a huge oversight.
Wait, what?
Also,
nice.
With evolution, they make you use these evolution stones to get access to the evolutions that are in the game. They've sort of fenced off access to evolution via these evolution stones that you have to spend in order to access the evolution events. I agree that certain Pokemon absolutely should have evolution stones. There are evolution stones in the main games, but having every single Pokemon having their evolution fenced off that way, especially when these stones are as rare as they are, it's really, really deflating for the player. You either have to spend a whole bunch of in-game money to get these stones, or just go without. And you don't always have access to the stones, because if you are evolving a lot of stuff in rapid succession, they run out very quickly. And you don't always, and it's not something that you can always buy. Like there's not an unlimited supply in the store, is what I'm trying to say. The store runs out. They recently did a Evolution Stone event, and that was cool, but if you repeat it over and over again, you don't get more stones every time you do it. So that doesn't fix the problem. It just gives you access to more stones for a little bit. Next thing I wanted to discuss, and this will probably prove my point pretty admirably here, is the enemy difficulty. The enemy difficulty seems really random and sort of unbalanced.
Bring it!
This isn't Pokemon Go. There's no reason that an enemy should have several thousand HP. You know, it's a one-on-one or a three-on-three battle. The enemy does not need to have this huge amount of HP to battle. Like, they're giving Pokemon this huge amount of HP, and then having them also do a whole bunch of damage. You know, which, in a game like this, if you have a Pokemon with a bunch of HP, it needs to not be doing as much damage to compensate. You know, you don't have an unlimited roster of Pokemon the way you do in Pokemon Go that you can use to fight something with a ton of HP.
Crash!
And I feel like this battle is probably going to be a pretty good demonstration of just how this affects the game. You know, this is a battle where you have to use this particular trainer and this particular Pokemon. You can't use other members of your team. And I just got wiped out before I could use my sync move, because this thing has hundreds and hundreds more HP than it should. Okay, now this brings up another little gripe that I have, which is more of a quality of life issue. Now that I've tried that sync pair story with Barry's evolution and failed it, he's no longer at the top of the list with the other trainers that I haven't tried their evolution stories yet. So I have to scroll through and find him. So I have about 40 or so sync pairs. So this is a long list of trainers that I have to go through now to find Barry. I'm just saying it would be nice if they could just keep them at the top of the list until you have finished the story, rather than until you have tried the story. But yeah, I feel like the best way to balance this issue with the enemy's stats is just, you know, don't just outrageously inflate their stats without thinking, because what this does in game is it makes the enemies feel really kind of random, like without much thought put into their design. Like, you could have a battle in a chapter that's really, really difficult, and so you power up your team to get past it, and then in the next battle in that same chapter, you're one-shotting everything. You know, so it doesn't feel like there was a whole bunch of thought put into progression. It feels like you're just sort of out there. You know, so I think that's another thing that kind of makes, you know, I understand wanting to make certain enemies seem like a bigger deal or seem more powerful, but the problem with doing that is that you're just making the game irritating. You know, it's a mobile game. You know, it's something that I feel shouldn't take a lot of time. You know, especially when you don't have a function to pause the game in mid-battle.
You're pretty good.
You know, instead of having a pause function, they have a function that lets the AI take over, and the AI can't battle its way out of a wet paper bag. So, you know, I don't feel that leaving battles up to the AI was the greatest decision. I feel like there should be a pause function if you need to pause the game because you've got to take care of something, you know. I mean, it's a mobile game.
Whoa!
Hey,
So,
you're the real deal.
anyway. So the last issue I wanted to touch on here is that there's nothing to do.
No problem.
And what I mean by that
Let's get this go.
is once you have completed all of the story events in the game, there's nothing left. You've done everything. There should not be, like, you shouldn't be able to beat a mobile game with that's supposed to be funded by microtransactions like you would beat a regular main series Pokemon game. That's not a sustainable model for growth in the mobile game industry.
Take over.
So
Do your stuff.
what you should be doing is focusing on something that's repeatable that
Leave it
people
to
would
me.
actually want to train their Pokemon for. And the best way to do that is with PvP. There are plenty of mobile games out there where PvP is the end game, the thing that people train their monsters to do. So I think that that would definitely be a valid and viable thing for Pokemon Masters to move into. PvP is a big part of the main series game.
Let's power through.
That's
Let's do this.
training competitive mons is a thing. So I feel like if you're going to go ahead and make a Pokemon game, having a PvP system, you know, probably a decent idea. You know,
Leave it to me.
get them. Get them out of here. Anyway,
Of course.
and I feel like a PvP system could really work in this game, but they would have to address the issue with the type chart. You know, this game doesn't use the type chart the way that other Pokemon games do,
far surpasses your own.
and I feel like they need to correct that. You know, I feel like correcting that would also make it to where people wouldn't feel trapped into using specific trainers to do specific battles. I feel like if Pokemon had the weaknesses that they're supposed to, then it would feel like you could just train up the units that you wanted instead of having to use specific types of units to clear certain areas. You know? So if you have a favorite team, you could use that favorite team just about everywhere. You know, and making maybe minor adjustments and switches here and there. You know, so that's my thoughts on that.
You're a lifesaver.
Splendid, shall we?
You know. All right, so those are the issues that I feel are dragging Pokemon Masters down and causing it to fail. I know that nobody from Dina will probably end up watching this video, but hey, I'm just throwing it out there in case somebody does, or if you know, somebody repeats it back to them. Great, but anyway, I hope the game does improve. I hope it becomes better. It seems like a really solid concept, and it's just unfortunate that it was executed so poorly early on. The other issue that I have with the game is really more, it's more of an issue with the trailer, if that makes sense. When the animated anime-style trailer for this game came out, there were tons and tons of trainers in it. You know, and we got maybe half of those, you know, at launch. And they've been drip feeding them to us ever since. So we still don't have trainers like Gladion and Lily and Lusamine, Professor Oak, Team Rocket. You know, like there's a lot missing, you know. And I feel like they were planning on sort of introducing those characters and having story events based around them and things like that, but it feels like they sort of released the game half-finished when you do stuff like that. And I feel like what should have been the plan for this is have that ton of characters at the start, and then as new games come out, like Sword and Shield, for example, that's where you drip feed the new characters from. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they would have been able, like they would have been able to time it perfectly had they done that. They would have been able to say, okay, here's all these, all these characters at launch. Instead, we got less than 70. But they could have said, hey, here's all of these characters at launch, and then started to drip feed us the Sword and Shield characters from the Galar region, like Hop, like Marley, you know, like Team, like, you know, there's all kinds of characters in the new games that they could have given us, but instead they chose to drip feed the characters that they started with. So, anyway, But that's I think the main issues that I have with the game. And like I said, some of those issues I know will probably be corrected eventually. Other issues, I don't know if they'll ever get corrected. I don't know if there's time to correct them before this game sinks. You know, this game was obviously developed with a certain profit margin in mind, and it is not meeting those goals, to the point where the development team is constantly putting out little notices in-game that says, we're sorry the game sucks, we're working on it. You know, so yeah. But anyway, to those of you who've watched through the end, thank you so much for watching Pokémon Masters and kind of, you know, following along with me. I'll probably keep playing this game a little bit in my spare time, maybe finish up all the story events. But I don't know if I'm going to be the type to really keep going, and I'm definitely not the type to spend money on a game like this. So, you know, I can't support this game by myself. And like I said, I don't expect anybody else to either. There's nothing worth spending money on this, especially when their strategy to keep people playing the game is to keep giving out free stuff. They have increased the amount of daily login rewards so much that it's just pathetic. And that doesn't make people want to spend more money on your game, I'm sorry. It might keep them playing while you work through the difficulties and get the game fixed, but it's definitely not going to get them to spend money. So, anyway, here's hoping that Dina sees something like this. Maybe they're searching for videos like this one that are telling them what to do. Maybe they've run out of ideas and they don't know how to fix their game. But anyway, I hope everybody, including anybody at Dina who might end up watching this, has a great day. Bye-bye!